Thank you so much for staying with NTV. Now, still to come on the program of the memorial service of Dr. Shafiishuna Nujoma, we are expecting remarks from head of states and other foreign dignitaries. We are still expecting the message on behalf of the widow, which will be presented by Dr. Nashilongo Shivute, and of course the message by His Excellency Dr. Nangolo Mbuba, the President of the Republic of Namibia, the Commander-in-Chief of the Namibian Defense Force, and Chief Mona. But for now, let's cross over to NBC, where we get the updated speech of our former President, His Excellency Hifikepunye Pohamba.
Sua Excelência Nangolo Mbumba, Presidente da República da Namíbia, Sua Excelência Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah, Vice-Presidente e Presidente eleita da República da Namíbia, respeitada viúva, filhos e membros da família Nujoma, Sua Excelência Sara Kungu Amadilha, Primeira-Ministra da República da Namíbia, Suas Excelências Chefes de Estado e de Governo e outras altas entidades, distintas autoridades da República da Namíbia, minhas senhoras, meus senhores.
Your Excellency Nangolo Mbumba, President of the Republic of Namibia, Your Excellency Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah, Vice President and President-elect of the Republic of Namibia, Your Excellency the widow and the family Nujoma, Your Excellency Sara Kungu Amadilha, Prime Minister of the Republic of Namibia, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, and highest dignitaries, distinguished authorities of the Republic of Namibia, ladies and gentlemen.
Este é um momento difícil em que me cabe o doloroso dever de prestar a última homenagem em nome de toda a África, que aqui represento na qualidade de Presidente em exercício da União Africana e, em particular, da República de Angola, ao Presidente Sam Nujoma, figura destacável da história contemporânea africana, herói do povo namibiano e um símbolo inquebrantável da luta de libertação da África Austral contra a dominação colonial e contra o regime do apartheid.
This is a difficult moment when I have the duty to pay the last homage on behalf of the whole Africa that I'm representing as the chairperson of the African Union, and in particular as President of the Republic of Angola, to President Sam Nujoma, an outstanding figure of the African contemporary history, hero of the Namibian people, and symbol of unbreakable fight for the liberation of Southern Africa and against the rule of apartheid regime in South Africa.
Partiu para a eternidade um homem corajoso, um patriota namibiano convicto e um filho genuíno de África, que se tornou um ícone da luta pelo resgate da dignidade e da soberania do seu povo, desafiando com valentia e de forma exemplar o hediondo sistema do apartheid, que dominou durante várias décadas, com indescritível crueldade, a cena política do sudoeste de África.
A courageous man has left for eternity, a Namibian patriot, a genuine son of Africa, who has become an icon of fight for the dignity and sovereignty of his people, challenging giantly and in exemplary manner the any system of apartheid which dominated for various decades in undescribable cruelties the political scene of Southwest Africa.
A homens com a têmpera de Nujoma e de outros grandes líderes da história da libertação da África, a nós, os que hoje temos a responsabilidade de os seguir, inspirados pelos exemplos que nos legaram, cabe-nos, no contexto de uma missão quase impossível, interiorizarmos o seu espírito de abnegação e entrega às causas africanas e conduzirmos o nosso continente de forma a realizarmos os sonhos e os objetivos pelos quais pugnaram e acreditaram até o fim dos seus dias, os de poder construir uma África livre, desenvolvida e ciosa dos seus valores mais profundos.
To men with strength such as of Sam Nujoma and other big leaders of the liberation history of Africa, and to us who today have the responsibility to follow, inspired by the example that they have left us, it's up to us in the context of an almost impossible mission to emulate the spirit of devotion for the cause of Africa that led them and led our continent so that we can realize the dreams and goals for which they fought and they believed up to the last day of their life, and which is to be able to build an Africa that is devoted based on the profound values of its own.
Perante o féretro de Nujoma, permitam-me dizer que saberemos levar por diante todos os esforços ao nosso alcance para que os africanos, no seu conjunto, dignifiquem e honrem a memória de todos os seus pais fundadores, construindo num ambiente de solidariedade ativa entre todos a África que queremos.
Before the coffin of Sam Nujoma, allow me to say that we will be able to take forward all efforts in order to achieve as Africans together, that we may dignify and give honor to the memory of our founding fathers by building in an environment of active solidarity amongst all of us, the Africa we want.
Este é um momento propício para recordarmos que foi com esta perspectiva que jovens angolanos e namibianos e pessoas de ambos os países de todas as gerações se uniram e verteram o seu sangue em duras batalhas travadas no Calueque, em Xangongo, na Caama, no Cuito-Quanaval e noutras localidades, para escrever páginas gloriosas da história da libertação da nossa região.
This is a befitting moment for us to recall that under this perspective, young Angolans and Namibians and peoples from both countries, from all generations, united themselves and shared their blood in fierce battles held in Kalueke, Xangongo, Kahama, in Cuito-Quanaval, and other locations in order to write the glorious pages of history of our liberation as a region.
No quadro do pensamento do presidente Agostinho Neto, quando dizia que na Namíbia e na África do Sul estava a continuação da nossa luta, o povo angolano, encabeçado pelo então presidente José Eduardo dos Santos, encarnou a solidariedade e o apoio à causa do povo namibiano e de outros povos da nossa região, contribuindo assim para a construção de uma nova nação livre, com justiça e dignidade para os seus habitantes, ao ter ajudado no processo da autodeterminação da Namíbia e do fim do apartheid na África do Sul.
Within the thought of President Agostinho Neto, when he said in Namibia and South Africa was the continuation of our struggle, the Angolan people, led by then President José Eduardo dos Santos, incarnated the solidarity and support for the cause of the Namibian people and other peoples of our region by contributing to the building of a new free nation with justice and dignity for its inhabitants, and has helped in the process of self-determination of Namibia and the end of apartheid in South Africa.
Neste ambiente de tristeza, que também convida à reflexão, vale lembrar que a paz definitiva em Angola não teria sido possível se não se tivesse conseguido derrotar o regime do apartheid, o que proporcionou a descolonização e independência da Namíbia.
At this bereaving environment, it's also a moment to reflect. It's worth to recall that long-lasting peace in Angola would not have been possible if we have not been able to defeat the apartheid regime, which has also led to decolonization of Namibia and the achievement of its independence.
Permitam-me aproveitar esta ocasião para expressar ao povo da Namíbia, às suas autoridades e à família enlutada o nosso tributo, os nossos mais profundos sentimentos de pesar, em nome de todos os angolanos, dos africanos de uma maneira geral e no meu próprio.
Allow me to seize this occasion to express to the Namibian people and to the Namibian authorities and the bereaved family our tribute and our heartfelt condolences on behalf of all Angolans, of all Africans in general, and on my own indeed.
A obra de Nujoma em favor do seu povo ficará indelevelmente registada nos anais da história e eternizá-lo-á como uma incontornável referência para as futuras gerações da Namíbia e do continente africano.
The work of Nujoma in favor of his people will be written forever in annals of history and shall be eternalized as a beacon for the future generation of Namibia and the African continent.
Os grandes homens não morrem, descansam.
Great men don't die, only rest.
Presidente Nujoma, descanse em paz.
May President Nujoma rest in eternal peace.
And that was the President of the Republic of Angola, João Lourenço. And as Cousin Mberi was saying earlier on, Namibia and Angola have a shared history that goes way back to the armed struggle.
Very much for your message. Excellency President Lourenço of our sister Republic of Angola. I now would like to invite His Excellency Dr. Emerson Dambuzo Mnangagwa, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Chairperson of SADC. Your Excellency, President Mnangagwa.
Madam Toivo Ndjebela and the bereaved Muyoma family, Your Excellency President Dr. Nangolo Mbumba and the First Lady, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, Your Excellencies, former Heads of State and Government, Honorable Ministers, Heads of Delegations who are here, Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends. Today, we gather in profound sorrow to honor the life and legacy of a remarkable leader and stalwart of the liberation struggle. The passing on of the founding president and father of the Republic of Namibia, His Excellency Dr. Shafiishuna Nujoma, is a huge loss for the Republic of Namibia, the entire SADC region, the continent of Africa and beyond. His selfless efforts and unwavering commitment to justice, equality, and freedom for his people and all of mankind who remain etched in our collective memory for posterity. The late Dr. Nujoma, who had more than just a political figure, he was a larger-than-life revolutionary icon and a shining beacon of hope for the peoples of Africa. His astute, exemplary, and consistent leadership during our struggles for independence laid critical building blocks for the democratic culture that not only Namibia, but the whole of SADC cherished so dearly to this day. We honor him as one of the founding fathers and a true Pan-African statesman. As the leader of SWAPO, he inspired countless individuals to rise against colonial oppression and to fight for their birthright, freedom, independence, and dignity. His vision for a truly independent and liberated African people transcended borders, uniting peoples from across Southern Africa. Throughout his tenure as President of the Republic of Namibia, Dr. Nujoma championed policies that promoted social justice, economic development, and regional cooperation. He understood that true liberation extends beyond mere political independence to encompass social equity and sustainable development. He fought and led his people, including the region, with outstanding valor and distinction up to the end. I was personally privileged to work alongside the late statesman and African icon, Dr. Nujoma. He was a wealth of wisdom. His ideological depth and understanding of a wide array of African and global issues was both fascinating and inspirational. His humility and unassuming demeanor, compassion, and steadfastness were qualities that motivated all who knew him. He taught us that leadership is not merely about power, but about service to the people with integrity, honor, sacrifice, and humility. As we reflect on his legacy and continue on our pursuit to realize the SADC Vision 2050 and the AU Agenda 2063, let us be emboldened by his words of recollection, and I quote, "When the founding fathers were calling for African unity, they were calling for economic emancipation, cooperation, and integration of the entire African continent. They fully understood that political freedom would remain insufficient and meaningless unless it was accompanied by genuine economic independence." End of quote. We must continue to work together as nations within our SADC region and the larger African continent to uphold the values he and many others fought hard to entrench in the psyche of our peoples on the African continent. Let us transform our sorrow into purposeful action. The late Dr. Njoma's vision must live on through our collective efforts towards sustainable peace and prosperity in Southern Africa, the African continent as a whole, and the global South. In honor of the legacy bequeathed to us by our founding fathers, including the late Comrade Njoma, we all have the responsibility to deepen collaboration and synergies among member states for a brighter and a more prosperous future, especially for our young people. Finally, I exhort us, therefore, to continue the fight for justice, equality, and a peaceful region. This is the fight that our late African icon and founding father, Dr. Sam Njoma, so passionately laid throughout his life, which was well lived in service of his people and all of us. May his soul rest in eternal peace. I thank you.
Thank you very much for your message, Your Excellency, President Mnangagwa. I now would like to invite the Honorable Esteban Lazo Hernandez, President of the National Assembly of the People's Power and Council of State, member of the Political Bureau of the Cuban Communist Party. Your Excellency.
estimado presidente Nangolo Bumba, querido presidente Ifekipuni Bamba, estimada vicepresidente Netumbo Nandi, distinguida señora Toivo Ndjebela, viuda del querido padre fundador de la nación de Namibia, doctor San Nujoma, y otros miembros de la familia Nujoma. Excelentísimo jefe de Estado y de Gobierno y otros destinatarios presentes. Valeroso pueblo hermano de Namibia, los hijos de la tierra de los bravos. Despedir al doctor Nujoma, gran ícono de la lucha de África contra el colonialismo y el apartheid, y amigo incondicional de los cubanos, no solo resulta difícil y doloroso, sino que constituye también un acto de suma responsabilidad. Pues debo intervenir en nombre del líder de la Revolución Cubana, general de ejército Raúl Castro Ruz, del primer secretario del Partido Comunista de Cuba y presidente de nuestra República, Miguel Díaz-Canel Bermúdez, y del pueblo de Cuba. Hablar en nombre de los cubanos compromete mucho, porque nuestro pueblo conoce muy bien cuánto costó a los hermanos namibios, guiados por el compañero Nujoma, alcanzar su independencia y poner fin al régimen racista, segregacionista impuesto por Sudáfrica del apartheid. Vengo a compartir el mensaje de solidaridad de mis compatriotas por la partida física del insigne luchador que sentimos también como nuestro. De las trincheras que compartimos juntos, los heroicos combatientes namibios, con las armas en la mano, vimos crecer el liderazgo del doctor Nujoma al frente de la SWAPO en la lucha por la independencia y en la movilización de apoyo internacional para esta sublime causa.
Dear President Nangolo Bumba, dear former President Ifikepunye Pohamba, esteemed Vice President Netumbo Nandi, President-elect of this honorable nation, distinguished Mrs. Cobambo Nujoma, widow of the beloved founding father of the Namibian nation and other members of the Nujoma family, Your Excellencies, heads of states and governments and other personalities accompanying us, courageous people of Namibia, sons and daughters of the land of the brave, saying farewell to Dr. Nujoma, one of the greatest icons of the African fight against colonialism and apartheid, and an unconditional friend of Cuba, is not only hard and painful, but it also represents an act of great responsibility. In the first place, because I come here to speak on behalf of the leader of the Cuban Revolution, the General of Army, Raúl Castro Ruz, and on behalf of the first Secretary of the Communist Party of Cuba and President of the Republic, Miguel Díaz-Canel Bermúdez, and also on behalf of all of our people. Now, speaking on behalf of the Cuban people represents a great challenge, given the fact that our people knows very well the high cost paid by the Namibian people who, guided by Comrade Nujoma, managed to obtain the independence and finally put an end to the racist and segregational regime of apartheid imposed by South Africa. I come here today to bring the message of solidarity of all the Cubans on the occasion of the departure of this most distinguished fighter that we perceive as one of our own. From the bottom of the trench we shared alongside the heroic Namibian combatants, hand in hand, we witnessed how Dr. Nujoma's leadership at the head of SWAPO and also in the mobilization of the international support for his sublime cause grow.
Sentimos sano orgullo porque la historia unió a nuestro pueblo a este símbolo mundial de rebeldía, bravura, defensa por la dignidad e intransigencia revolucionaria que los cubanos aprendimos a admirar y a respetar. La profunda relación de amistad que forjaron el líder histórico de la Revolución Cubana, comandante en jefe Fidel Castro Ruz, el general de ejército Raúl Castro Ruz, con el querido doctor Nujoma, cimentó la hermandad actual entre nuestros dos pueblos. Estos compañeros de lucha, revolucionarios consecuentes y luchadores que compartieron sueños de emancipación y soberanía, sellaron esta unidad. Bajo el liderazgo indiscutible de estos gigantes, nuestras naciones, aunque distantes geográficamente, quedaron ungidas para siempre con la sangre abonada por nuestros mejores hijos. Con Nujoma construimos juntos los caminos de Cuba y Namibia, y esa huella que dejamos es nuestro legado al que seremos siempre fieles, fortaleciendo la amistad y la hermandad y la cooperación entre nuestras naciones.
We are very proud of how history has brought us together to this world symbol of rebelliousness and bravery, a champion of the defense of dignity and of revolutionary intransigence, a man that we admire and respect in Cuba. The deep friendship built by the historical leader of the Cuban Revolution, Commander-in-Chief Fidel Castro, the General of Army Raúl Castro, and our dearest Dr. Nujoma is the foundation of the brotherhood existing today between our two peoples. These comrades in fight, these consequent revolutionaries, these warriors who shared the dreams of emancipation and sovereignty sealed our unity. It is under the undoubted leadership of these giants that our nations, although geographically distant, got united forever by the blood shed by our best sons and daughters. With Nujoma, we have built together the past of Cuba and Namibia, and the legacy we will always respect and pass on to future generations who will always remain faithful to it by deepening friendship, brotherhood, and cooperation between our two nations.
La valiosa y sincera amistad que nos prodigó lo hizo merecedor en 1991 de la Orden José Martí, máxima distinción que otorga el Estado cubano a un extranjero. Fue un justo reconocimiento a sus extraordinarios méritos en la lucha por la independencia de Namibia. En los momentos más difíciles para Cuba, su voz siempre se alzó para recordarle al mundo que la dignidad de un pueblo no se negocia. Fue un ferviente impulsor de la solidaridad y cooperación con nuestro país, y juntos se dejó en reconocer la contribución cubana a las luchas por la liberación de África y el fin del oprobioso régimen del apartheid. Agradeceremos eternamente su invariable apoyo a nuestra justa demanda por el fin del criminal bloqueo de los Estados Unidos. Por eso Cuba, país indisolublemente unido a África y a Namibia, se une hoy a ustedes para recordar su inmenso legado, pero sobre todo para rendir homenaje a su extraordinaria vida. Como dijera el más universal de los cubanos, José Martí, la muerte no es verdad cuando se ha cumplido bien la obra de la vida.
Dr. Nujoma's valuable and sincere friendship towards the Cuban nation made him win in 1991 the José Martí Order, the highest distinction given by the Cuban state to a foreign personality. This was a fair recognition to his extraordinary merits in fighting for Namibia's independence. During Cuba's hardest periods, his voice was always there to remind the world that the dignity of a nation is not negotiable. He was a champion of solidarity and cooperation with our country and never ceased to acknowledge Cuba's contribution to liberation fights in Africa and to the elimination of the opprobrious apartheid regime. We will always be grateful for his unconditional support to our just demand for an end to the criminal blockade imposed to Cuba by the United States. For all these reasons, Cuba, a country that is bounded to Africa and to Namibia, has come here today to join you to remember Nujoma's immense legacy, but above all, we have joined you to pay a tribute to his extraordinary life. We remember on this day a phrase of Cuba's national hero, José Martí, who said, and I quote, "Death is not true when life's work has been well accomplished."
Durante su presidencia fundadora, sentó las bases de un Estado democrático, promovió la reconciliación nacional, trabajó arduamente para reducir las enormes desigualdades heredadas del apartheid, impulsó políticas en favor de la inclusión social y el crecimiento económico, a la par que fortaleció el prestigio de Namibia en el ámbito internacional. Camaradas y distinguidos representantes, a la familia Ndjoma, al pueblo de Namibia, a sus compañeros de lucha, a la máxima dirección del país, los acompañamos en este difícil momento. Cuba, su hermana nación del Caribe, estará siempre para ustedes, como siempre el hermano Ndjoma estuvo para nosotros. Unidos, honraremos su memoria en la lucha constante por un mundo donde la dignidad plena del hombre sea un privilegio, no de unos pocos. Hoy, Namibia despide a su hijo más valioso y Cuba despide a un gran hermano de ideas y de lucha. Hasta siempre, hermano e insigne héroe. Hasta la victoria siempre. Muchas gracias.
During his founding presidency, Ndjoma set the basis for a democratic state. He promoted national reconciliation. He worked hard to reduce the huge inequalities inherited from apartheid, and all that while promoting policies of social inclusion and economical growth, thus reinforcing Namibia's prestige in the international arena. Comrades, distinguished representatives, to the Ndjoma family, to the Namibian people, to his comrades in fights, and to the high authorities of the nation, we join you in these difficult hours. Cuba, your sister nation from the Caribbean, will always be there for you, as brother Ndjoma was always there for us. By standing together, we will honor his memory and celebrate his constant fight for a world in which full dignity will not be the privilege of only a few. Namibia bids a farewell today to its most cherished son, and Cuba bids a farewell to a giant brother in ideas and in constant fights. To eternity, dear brother and hero, unto victory, always. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Hernandez, for your consoling message. Comrade President, Meme Kovambo, Ndjoma, the family of late Comrade President Ndjoma, dear mourners, I would like at this juncture invite Comrade Dr. Nashilongo Shivute to come and deliver the message on behalf of Meme Kovambo Ndjoma. Comrade Shivute.
Nashilongo Shivute is going to deliver the remarks on behalf of Madam Kovambo Ndjoma. Dr. Nashilongo Shivute is a former senior official within the Ministry of Lands and Resettlement, and she now serves as a Public Service Commission member. particular tribute. It means we have now finalized all the foreign heads of state and government that have come to pay tribute to the founding father, or at least their tributes, that is.
Director of Ceremonies, Honorable Dr. Ita Kanji, Minister of Higher Education, Honorable Franz Kapofi, Minister of Defense and Veterans Affairs, Your Excellency Dr. Nangolo Mbumba, President of the Republic of Namibia, Commander-in-Chief of the Namibian Defense Force, Chief Mourner, and Madame Mbumba, First Lady of Namibia. Children, grandchildren, and representatives of the family Nujoma, Mushimba, and Kondombolo. Your Excellency, Dr. Hifikepunye Pohamba, former President, and Madame Pohamba. Your Excellencies, heads of state and government. Your Excellency, foreign dignitaries. Your Excellency, Dr. Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah, Vice President and President-elect of the Republic of Namibia, and Lieutenant General Ndaitwah. Right Honorable Dr. Sarah Kuvongwela Amavila, Prime Minister of the Republic of Namibia, and Mr. Amavila. Directors of Ceremonies, kindly permit me to adhere to the protocol as already established. I have been entrusted to bring the voice of the message of the widow, Mekulu Sisi Kovambo Nujoma. I'm one of the children who used to run in front of her in the old location, barefooted. And I have the singular honor, and I'm very humbled to stand here and read Kuku's message. Fellow mourners, allow me on the onset, as we gather here on this solemn occasion, on behalf of the Nujoma, Kondombolo, and Mushimba families, and indeed on my own behalf, to express our profound gratitude to the government of the Republic of Namibia for conferring the highest honor of a state funeral and of a national hero to our family's pillar of strength and protector, my beloved husband, His Excellency Dr. Sam Shafiishuna Nujoma. Your messages, your presence, visitation at home gave me, as well as the children and the extended family, the assurance that we are not alone during this difficult time. Indeed, the entire Namibian nation and the international community is standing with us, just as you stood with us and carried us during the struggle for the liberation of our beloved country. In the same vein, the entire Namibian nation and the international community upheld the values of my beloved husband, His Excellency Dr. Sam Shafiishuna Nujoma, and stood by him when on 9 February 1990, he adopted our Constitution and he was unanimously elected by the National Assembly as the first President of the Republic of Namibia on 16 February 1990, and was sworn in as the founding President of the Republic of Namibia on the 21st of March 1990. Thank you for sharing in our grief. Allow me to share some thoughts about my husband, the love of my life, my protector, a visionary leader, a father and grandfather, a truly an African icon. He would call me Mekulu, and I would call him Presidente. It was during the apartheid era in the early 1950s when racial segregation was at its fiercest that I met the young Sam Nujoma. I was visiting Walvis Bay, and there he was, a young, vibrant, dynamic, and wise man. Excuse me. A young, dynamic, vibrant, and wise man whose presence commanded attention. Despite the divisive atmosphere of those times, we found love. Ours was a love that rose above the barriers of tribal segregation. A love that stood the test of time against colonial subjugation and the laws of divide and rule. We married on 6 May 1956, united not only by our love, but also by a shared vision for a free and independent Namibia. In our marriage, we were blessed with many children, namely Utoni Daniel Nujoma, John Ndeshipanda Nujoma, Nefungo Nujoma, Nerago Nujoma, and Mukuru Usuta Nujoma, as well as 24 grandchildren and 11 great-grandchildren. I must thou, through all the tension and political trials, say there was a lot of intimidation from the apartheid regime. My husband thou remained steadfast, resolute, focused, and disciplined. Persevering, he never wavered in his belief that Namibia would one day be free. When my husband left for exile, my family and I were not spared from the hardship. Our home was raided continuously, and we were under constant surveillance and harassment by the racist South African security forces. Yet, even in his absence, my husband's love and strength enveloped us. When the harassment became unbearable, I made the difficult decision to join him in exile in Zambia in 1978, accompanied by our youngest daughter, Usuta, and several nieces and nephews. It was a perilous journey, but love and hope propelled me forward. Despite being geographically separated, we remained closely in touch as a family. We held onto our love through letters, phone calls, telegrams, and whenever possible, brief but cherished visits. My reunion with my husband in Zambia was a moment of profound joy, a realization that love endured, in the face of war and hardship. Finally, we returned home in 1989. And on the 21st of March, 1990, I experienced the joy, profound joy, standing by his side to witness Namibia's independence. It was the realization of my husband's dream, a vision he has held on to through years of sacrifice and suffering. Even after independence, his work did not cease. He continued to labor tirelessly, laying a firm foundation for the government of the Republic of Namibia, with the ultimate aim to secure prosperity for all Namibians. At home, despite his demanding schedule, my husband remained a devoted husband, a loving father, and a fierce protector of his family. We were always a priority to him. He made time to share light moments, to celebrate our birthdays as well as those of our children and grandchildren. It was a joy to open our home to many people, including our adopted children, planned combatants, friends from Namibia, Africa, and from all over the world. When I became the First Lady of Namibia, I enjoyed the unwavering support of my husband. He believed in me, instilled in me the confidence, and encouraged me to undertake any project during my tenure. His presence was a constant source of strength, whether through his wise counsel or simply by his reassuring smile. With this encouragement, I established the Child Survival Protection and Development Foundation to support and nurture the development of our nation's children. My husband was a humble man. His simplicity was evident in how he administered government affairs from a small study room in our residence. He was content with whatever was available, always focused on the greater good for Namibia. He respected everyone that he encountered and expressed deep gratitude to those around him, particularly to the loyal staff who served him with dedication. My husband led a disciplined and structured life, yet he was always gentle, generous, and thoughtful. He would come home, greet me first, hold my hand, his voice full of affection, and he would ask, "Mekulu Ourinawa?" And I would respond, "Presidente, Turinawa, Kotoka Nawa." Those simple gestures, filled with love, are treasures I will hold close to my heart forever. Directors of ceremonies, Your Excellencies, fellow mourners, permit me at this juncture to thank all Namibians for walking this journey with us, for lifting him high as they sang Sema Oripeni Yerura Epandera. The Epandera remained lifted very high because you, the Namibian people, and our friends and supporters across Africa and the world reinforced the arm that lifted that epandela, and you provided the shoulder that carried him to navigate through rough waters. I wish to express my sincere gratefulness to the mothers and fathers who sacrificed their sons and daughters for the dream he held so dear, the security personnel who safeguarded him, and the household staff who kept our family safe. I am deeply grateful to the medical team and to everyone whose prayers carried us through. Dear directors of ceremonies, I will fail in my duty if I do not recognize the African brothers and sisters on the continent and those in diaspora who shared his dream, hosted my husband, and provided the necessary political material, moral, and logistical support to realize his vision. These gestures cannot go unrecognized, as they contributed to the successful completion of the vision and mission of my husband. The last 6 months were difficult for my family and I, but even then, my husband remained a source of encouragement. His spirit was indomitable. Despite his poor health, he would always return home after every medical procedure, filling our home with hope and anticipation. Sadly, on the 8th February 2025, he took his final journey, this time not to our home, but to his eternal home. We thank God for his life. My dear husband, you will forever remain in our hearts. Your legacy will remain a shining light that I commit to pass down through generations to come. As it is written in Daniel 12, verses 3, those who are wise will shine like the brightness of heavens, and those who lead many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. Subamo hange musuvero wanje kaende nawa nera karoe katuno kuri vembako okuhepa.
And that was Dr. Nashilongo Shivute, who was giving the message on behalf of the widow, our former founding First Lady, Kwavambo Nujoma.
And quite a heartfelt tribute there, with a lot of anecdotes and behind-the-scenes sort of actions that some of us were not privy to. Some of that detail that we as Namibians, we never got to know. But at this particular platform, we're getting to know the founding president as a husband as well.
Kadambira, we're nearly coming to the end of the program. The last speaker will be the president, Dr. Nangola Mbumba, who is going to give his tribute message, and that will then be followed by the benediction, and that will effectively bring the ceremony, the memorial ceremony here to an end. Of course, it's going to be followed by the viewing of the body of the remains of the late founding president. And this will continue throughout the night. So any of you who are out there who would like to pay your last respects to the founding president, please make your way to the Independence Stadium in Olympia, where you will be able to pay your last respects because the body will be lying in state throughout the night.
I must say that we need to acknowledge the NBC, the Namibian Broadcasting Corporation. For the past 20 years, these live broadcasts going from region to region, putting on a production of this scale, of this magnitude, is something unseen in the history of Namibia. It's legacy stuff.
Absolutely. They achieved the same level of unparalleled broadcasting standards last year during the funeral of the late President Gengob. So, in fact, the Director General of the NBC, Stanley Similo, has done a sterling job in steering the NBC ship to modernization. So, yes, and obviously, together with the board, the NBC has now become a corporation that can pridefully take its place with the best of broadcasters in the world. Right, we are going to cross over now to what is happening.
Okay, please let us take our seats. First, let me thank our directors of ceremonies, Comrade Franz Kapofi from Defense, and Dr. Ita Kanje Murangi from Higher Education. Madam Kovambo Nujoma, founding First Lady, the children, grandchildren, and the entire Nujoma and Kondombolo family members. Your Excellency, João Manuel Gonçalves Lourenço, President of the Republic of Angola and Chairperson of the African Union. Your Excellency, Dr. Emerson Dabuzo Mnangagwa, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Chairperson of SADC. Your Excellencies, Head of States and Government, and other foreign dignitaries. Your Excellency, Comrade Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwa, Vice President of the Republic of Namibia, President-elect, that means future President, and my good friend, Lieutenant General Epaphras Denga Ndaitwa. Your Excellency, Comrade Dr. Hifikepunye Pohamba, Second President of the Republic of Namibia, and Madam Pohamba. As you have seen already, the rain started after Tate Pohamba has started speaking. He is the rainmaker #1. But today also, because the President of Angola and the President of Zimbabwe one come from the north, the other one come from the east, they also brought some rain. Give them a big hand. The hierarchy in terms of government structure is known. I don't need to waste time acknowledging each and every one. Just to say, Vice President is recognized, Prime Minister is recognized, Deputy Prime Minister is recognized, Honorable Professor Peter Kachavivi, Speaker of the National Assembly, you are recognized, Your Lordship, Peter Shibute, Chief Justice, you are recognized. Honorable Lucas Sinimbo Muha, Chairperson of the National Council, you are recognized. Honorable John Mutora, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Works and Transport, you are recognized. Everybody is recognized. Except also, I have to recognize Sophia Nahango Shaningwa, Secretary General of the ruling party, and my cousin, McHenry Venani, leader of the official opposition. Please accept that you are all recognized. Dear mourners, on the 8th of February this year, 2025, the foundation of the Republic of Namibia was shaken by the distressing news that His Excellency, Dr. Sam Shafiishuna Nujoma, our founding president, founding father of the Namibian nation, and leader of the Namibian Revolution, had passed on. The month of February is universally associated with love, purity, and health. But for the second consecutive year, for us Namibians, this month has come to represent grief and mourning. As our hearts were just beginning to heal from the loss in the same month last year of our beloved third president, His Excellency Dr. Hage Gottfried Geingob, this year we lost our founding president, His Excellency Dr. Sam Shafiishuna Nujoma. 3 weeks later, since that fateful day, our hearts are still wrestling with accepting the fact that our founding father is no more. So captivating was his personality. So acute was his magnetism. So large was his footprint on the Namibian social, economic, and cultural and political scenes that his absence has left a deafening silence across the length and breadth of the nation's landscape. Our spirits continue being troubled by the passing of a towering and peerless leader. There is a well-known Namibian liberation song whose first stanza is as follows, and it was already sung. Sema Olipen, Yerule Pandera, Ola Namibia, end of quote. This song, which became the unofficial anthem for the national liberation struggle, says simply, Sam, where are you? Raise the flag on Namibia. Sam, where are you? Raise the flag on Namibia. This song captures the current national mood. Indeed, Namibians, the people of Sam Nujoma, are looking for him. He held the flag on Namibia high for a very long time, since the 1950s, when he went all over the world to seek freedom for Namibia and her people. After 29 years, on September 14, 1989, Comrade Sam Nujoma returned with freedom, with independence, big gifts for every Namibian citizen. Now he has gone again, this time not to return, but his indomitable revolutionary spirit will always be with us. For in the words of Ruth Castello Branco, and I quote, a people cannot bid farewell to their history, end of quote. And since Sam Nujoma is Namibia's past, Namibia's present, and Namibia's future, we don't bid farewell. We don't bid him farewell. But we mourn and celebrate his life, his history, and his achievements. Throughout his life, Comrade Sam Nujoma exhibited the traits of a man driven by purpose and called by destiny. Without doubt, he was an extraordinary personality. Who else could rise from the humble dwellings of a tunda to lead a nation to independence? Who else could traverse from a dusty village to the hallways of the United Nations? Who else could rise from relative obscurity and end up rubbing shoulders with some of the most iconic leaders of the 21st century? Only an extraordinary human being could achieve such feats. Indeed, President Nujoma was a man whose unwavering commitment enabled him to join the pantheon of all-time great revolutionaries and legendary leaders such as Kwame Nkrumah, Gamal Abdel Nasser, Patrice Lumumba, Julius Nyerere, Jomo Kenyatta, Kenneth Kaunda, Agostinho Neto, Robert Mugabe, Nelson Mandela, Samora Machel, and many, many others. President Nujoma's distinct look, characterized by his signature revolutionary beard and effervescent smile, came to mobilize a freedom fighter and at the same time a patriarch figure. He was a leader, a father, a grandfather, and a great-grandfather. He could be stern, but he could also be congenial. Benani said he could reshuffle. Reshuffle was just a way of disciplining us. He never fired us. We are still here, following him, following in his footsteps. He knew when it was time to fight and when it was time to negotiate, and especially when it was time to make peace. As the leader of SWAPO in the Namibian Revolution, he was the man for every moment and the man for every hour. In the words of the great Cuban revolutionary leader, Comandante Fidel Alejandro Castro Ruz, and I quote, "Men do not shape destiny. Destiny produces the men for the hour," end of quote. For Namibia, destiny chose the man for the hour, and that man was Sam Shafiishuna Nujoma. He is Namibia's all-time freedom fighter. He is Namibia's ultimate freedom fighter. The man who took a people from bondage to freedom, from despair to joy, from war to peace. That is why in life or in death, there will be only one leader of the Namibian Revolution and the founding father of the Namibian nation, Comrade Sam Shafiishuna Nujoma. There have been miscommunication. People are saying, we thank the Namibian government, we thank the president for according Dr. Nujoma a status of a hero. Please let us not mix up things. Nujoma was for a long time the leader. He has all those titles for a long time. What we did was to say and to follow in that footstep and to make sure that he gets what he has earned, not from the cabinet, not from the president, but from all Namibian people. Excellencies, dear monarchs, the founder of the Soviet Union, Tavares Vladimir Lenin, said, and I quote, "Despair is typical of those who do not understand the causes of evil, see no way out, and are incapable of a struggle." End of quote. Contrary to that belief, Namibians have always fiercely resisted the oppressors, as reflected in the tragic genocide of the Herero-Nama War of 1904-1908 by Imperial Germany. It did not end there. The next generation to pick up the fight was spurred on by the wind of change for independence, blowing over Ghana and followed in many African countries. This gave birth to SWAPO and its leader, Sam Nujoma, a man of destiny, a man driven by vision of the total independence of Namibia and freedom of its people. The late President Sam Nujoma is the primary exemplar of the ideals of struggle and sacrifice. Although many heroes and heroines grace the annals of our history, Sam Nujoma, through his leadership of SWAPO, is the first leader who spearheaded the mobilization of Namibians from all ethnic communities in a unified cause to fight for total independence. And he made the Namibian people to win. Under the courageous leadership of Comrade Sam Nujoma, SWAPO waged the struggle for independence at political, diplomatic, and military fronts. Ultimately, SWAPO was able to prevail against great odds because President Nujoma was able to galvanize the liberation movement, deploy cadres as per their unique qualities and talents. Some were sent for military training and deployed to the eastern, northern, western battlefronts and other fronts. They then reinforced the leadership and made it stronger, efficient, and effective. Others were sent to further their education all over the world. And because Comrade Nujoma instilled in them the values and importance of the liberation struggle, they always returned to join the fight for independence and freedom after completing those studies. Excellencies, dear monarchs, when we all recall President Sam Nujoma, we all marvel at his abilities and his innate talent. How did this man, born in a small Namibian village, end up becoming one of the greatest revolutionary leaders of his time? From Windhoek to Francistown, from Francistown to Harare, from Harare to Mbeya, from Mbeya to Njombe, from Njombe to Dar es Salaam, from Dar es Salaam to Accra, from Accra to Monrovia, and then from Monrovia to New York. How did this man do these things? Sam Nujoma has left his revolutionary footprints across the continent and the world at large. He was able to converse even with those who speak or who spoke Swahili, Arabic, French, Russian, and many other languages. all in the interest of articulating Namibia's fight for her independence. Due to these courageous efforts, President Nujoma, assisted by many comrades such as President Hifikepunye Pohamba, National Chairman David Meroro, Andimba Toivo, Peter Nanyemba, Hage Gottfried Geingob, Moses Garweb, Idipo Hamtenya, Hendrik Vetboy, Peter Mwishihange, Moses Jitendero, Nikki Iambo, Peter Kachavivi, Theo Ben Gurirab, Naha Sangula, Putuse Apollos, Libertina Madila, Netumbo Nandin Daitwa, Pendukeni Ivula Itana, and many, many others, was able to convince the world that SWAPO was fighting a just cause with the sole aim to rid the Namibian people of the yoke of apartheid colonialism. Like the founder of the People's Republic of China, Chairman Mao Zedong, President Nujoma understood that sometimes in life, and I quote, war can only be abolished through war. And in order to get rid of the gun, it is necessary to take up the gun. End of quote. His leadership came to the fore during the most difficult years of the struggle, and even after Namibia's independence, he has always faced problems and difficulties. When all seemed lost, he showed us the way. When things seemed dark, he illuminated a path to victory. He was the immovable rock, the cornerstone of Namibia's revolution and pursuit for development for each one of us. A man who stood tall in the eye of the storm, a man of principle who never compromised to the very end. Excellencies, dear monarchs, President Nujoma was a product of his time, born in an era when apartheid scourge in the then Southwest Africa began to spread. It was within this milieu that he was taught the values of iron discipline, stoic endurance, decisiveness, daring determination, and fearlessness by his maternal grandfather, Kondombolo Yakambulwa, a trained fighter in the traditional sense and a noted herbalist who grew up in Ukwambe district during the reign of Chief Nujoma Wahelu, and by his father, Tony Daniel Nujoma, a noted sprinter and a celebrated hunter. These values laid the foundation for his grandeur, from traditional boyhood to legendary statesman. In President Nuyoma's own words, and I quote, "No animal could get away if it ran in front of his father, Daniel Nujoma. Once he has aimed, that's done." This is the same single-minded focus and the relentless pursuit we all came to associate with President Nujoma. Once he came face to face with the animal called, and I quote, apartheid settler colonialism, end of quote, and saw its widespread havoc of suffering, misery, and degradation of Namibians, he made the cause of Namibia's liberation his one and single highest priority and calling. He mobilized all Namibian citizens from across tribes, across the regions of Namibia, and religious affiliations, as well as friendly governments and organizations, to relentlessly hunt down for over 24 years. This, and I quote, animal of apartheid settlement, apartheid settler colonialism, end of quote, which he brought down with a thunderous fall on 21st March 1990, our Independence Day. In this war against apartheid colonialism, Nujoma was also greatly inspired by the brave resistance against colonial Germany and apartheid South Africa, by preceding resistance fighters who include Chief Kahimemwa Nguvauva, Chief Hendrik Witbooi, Samuel Maharero, Jacob Marenga, Mandume Ndemfayo, Nehare Jampingana, Ipombu ya Chirongo, Hosea Kachikururume, Komumbombi Kutako, Homba Kanjimi Wahanga, and many, many Namibian patriots. Hence, Comrade Nujoma, throughout his life, could consistently extol the revolutionary virtues of these valiant heroes who preferred death over slavery and evoked their resistance as the legitimate spiritual foundation on which the Namibian liberation struggle was anchored. Excellencies, dear monarchs, the political consciousness of Comrade Nujoma was shaped by the efforts by the effects of the dehumanizing Swanla contract labor system. In Walvis Bay, alongside comrades such as Vinian Dadi, Ben Amadvila, Peter Nanyemba, Nathaniel Mahwiriri, and others, he mobilized support through the Ovambolan People's Organization against the Swanla contract system and apartheid. Another pivotal moment in Comrade Nujoma's political journey was the fateful Old Location massacre, which took place on December 10, 1959. Comrade Nujoma, together with Chief Hosea Kutako, or in the company on the support of Comrade Hosea Kutako, Wacha Kaupetu, Oswanu, Comrade Moses Garweb, and others, led the defiance campaign against the forced removal. It was here that Comrade Nujoma witnessed the power of a united front of Namibians hailing from various ethnic groups coming together to fight one common enemy, that enemy, apartheid South African regime. Thus, on February 29, 1960, with the assistance of the Oppo leadership and Chief Hosea Kutako, Comrade Nujoma, without a passport, crossed the border into Botswana to embark on his long march to freedom. The aim was for him to bring freedom to Namibia. His uncertain mission and the daring experience in exile spoke volumes of boldness, courage, and determination, because so much could have gone terribly wrong. He could have gotten lost, or he could have even lost his life. But such is the intrinsic nature of greatness. It is characterized by the ability to embark on perilous journeys to freedom and, in the process, face and overcome the risks and dangers which could even end one's life. Among others, Presidents Nyerere, Nkrumah, and Tubman greatly assisted Comrade Nujoma, who was then given a Ghanaian passport, to enable him to successfully carry out his quest for petitioning the United Nations. Eventually, in June 1990, Comrade Nujoma petitioned in front of the Fourth Committee of the General Assembly, joined by Reverend Michael Scott, Prof. Brumba Kirina, and Advocate Fanuel Jariretundu Koldongwizi. In exile, Comrade President Nujoma effectively became both the tip of the spear and the magnet, which firmly established and held together SWAPO as a nationalist, broad-based revolutionary vanguard movement comprising of workers, students, religious leaders, and the general population. Under Comrade Sam Nujoma, SWAPO waged an admirable and effective three-pronged struggle on the political front, on military front, and diplomatic front. On the military front, Comrade Sam Nujoma's sterlingly leadership as Commander-in-Chief of PLAN made it possible for PLAN to take part in the historic battle that resulted in the defeat of apartheid South Africa forces at Cuito Cuanavale in southern Angola by the combined FAPLA, Cuban, and PLAN combatants. This opened the way to the implementation of UN Resolution 435 in 1989. Excellencies, dear mourners, following the historic 1989 democratic elections for the Constituent Assembly, Comrade Nujoma was unanimously elected as President of Namibia and sworn in on March 21, 1990, by the United Nations Secretary General Xavier Perez de Cuellar. In his acceptance statement, President Nujoma declared, and I quote, "As from today, we are masters of this vast land of our ancestors. The destiny of this country is now fully in our own hands. Thank God it is still in our own hands." With these words, Comrade Nujoma set the Namibian nation on the path of peace, stability, unity, and development. After independence, nation building became President Nujoma's primary objective. Therefore, at independence, Comrade Nujoma, as he formed the first cabinet, made the deliberate effort to ensure that it was widely representative of all Namibian people. Maybe that is also one of the reasons why reshufflement was necessary. Subsequent administrations came to build upon this foundation. Moreover, the founding president announced the policy of national reconciliation, laying the foundation for peace and unity and harmony. Personal and national accomplishments were of utmost importance to President Nujoma. Thus, with the same sense of agency and vigor as he used to exercise during the liberation struggle, President Nujoma set out to galvanize all citizens to empower themselves and to build Namibia. President Nujoma has always led from the front and by example, inspiring the successful national mobilization for the construction of the over 146 kilometers of railway line from Tsumeb to Oshikango via Ondangwa and spreading to Oshakati. It was during President Nujoma's tenure of office that national development plans and Vision 2030 were formulated, prioritizing sectors such as education, health, agriculture, tourism, and mining. The relentless pursuit of second of second struggle for economic emancipation was central to President Nuyoma's vision of a Namibia and Africa in which the socio-economic aspiration of the people could be achieved. President Nujoma was a true champion of women's rights and gender equality. He played a pivotal role during the liberation struggle and post-independence for the advancement of women in positions of higher authority through legislation and endorsement of key processes such as the Beijing Platform for Action of 1995 into national development plans. The first Department of Women Affairs was established by President Nujoma in his own office, led by the current Vice President and President-elect, Comrade Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah. It is thanks to his gender parity vision, both in the SWAPO party and government, that we have close to 50-50 gender parity in Parliament and will soon inaugurate the first ever female president for the Republic of Namibia. Excellencies, dear monarchs, President Nujoma believed that, and I quote, the best way in which we can address social and economic inequality in our country is by ensuring that all our people, especially the youth, are provided with quality education, end of quote. As a result, the highest percentage of Namibia's national budget since independence has been on education. Comrade Nujoma was a great believer in education as an agent of change to address and reduce structural poverty and inequality. Thus, he continued well into advanced age as an avid seeker of knowledge, reading books, magazines, newspapers, and listening to various electronic media. Upon retirement, to the surprise of everybody, Comrade Nujoma, again leading by example, went to enroll at the University of Namibia and obtain a master's degree in geology at a good age of 75, to help Namibia explore and discover untapped minerals. And that University of Namibia, he is the one who established it after all. On the international front, President Nujoma pursued diplomatic activities that were anchored on priorities such as Pan-Africanism, the Global South, and values of solidarity, peace, and development. In this context, he worked closely with the members of the non-aligned movement, with the frontline states, Southern African Development Community, the African Union, the United Nations, and sister liberation movements. Under his leadership, Namibia, together with Angola and Zimbabwe, played a pivotal role in ending the Third War in the Democratic Republic of Congo in the 1990s. He championed freedom for the people of Palestine and Western Sahara, lifting of the economic blockade against Cuba and sanctions against Zimbabwe, and greater South-South cooperation. Under the leadership of Dr. Nujoma, Namibia was recognized as a model country that transits from war to peace and worthy of emulation by other countries whose people were under oppression. Through his tireless diplomatic efforts, President Nujoma laid a strong foundation that ensures Namibia is today a respected member of the international community. Excellencies and dear monarchs, it has been said that success is to be measured not so much by the position that one has reached in life as by the obstacles which one overcame. End of quote. President Sam Nuyoma's story captures this perspective perfectly. Although he climbed to the highest peak of achievement, became the founding father of our nation and the leader of the Namibian Revolution, his ultimate triumph and success lies in the obstacle he faced in his life and overcame them with courage, determination, and even elegance. Today, as we commemorate this remarkable human being who has left us a legacy as awe-inspiring as the Namib Desert, as abundant as the lush savanna, as breathtaking as the Pupa Falls, it is evident without doubt that we have lost an intergenerational icon, a once-in-a-lifetime luminary, a man who lived once but achieved the feats of 100 lifetimes. President Sam Nujoma, again, where are you? Namibia misses your voice. Founding Father, where are you? Namibia misses your smile. Leader of the Namibian Revolution, where are you? Namibia misses your presence. You have left us alone with countless memories. In the words of the gallant son of the soil, Comrade Peter Nanyemba, you crossed many rivers of blood to raise the Namibian flag high. Now we cry tears, we cry rivers of tears as we say our final goodbyes. President Sam Nujoma, we thank you and we thank your family. The distinguished founding First Lady, Madame Kovambo Nujoma, our friends and colleague, cabinet colleague, Comrade Utoni Nujoma, the children, the grandchildren, and the extended family of the Nujoma and Kondombolo families. We thank all their excellencies, head of state and government, both current and former, and all global dignitaries who have joined us in celebrating the life of this enduring icon, in bidding him farewell. Most importantly, we salute you, President Nujoma. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your bravery. Thank you for leading a successful struggle. Thank you for the gift of freedom. Thank you for the gift of reconciliation. Thank you for showing us how to sacrifice, how to fight, how never to give up, how to forgive, how to love, and how to unite. Thank you for showing us the way towards national development and economic emancipation. Although you are no longer with us physically, your legacy will remain eternally like the soil and the rain that give birth to the grass, to the flowers and trees in the Namib and Kalahari deserts. You exemplify greatness, you made history, and you shape our destiny. You are the father of our Namibian nation on the basis of one Namibia, one nation. The father of past generation, the father of present generation, and the father of all generations of Namibians to come. Having all said all that, long live the legacy of the leader of the Namibian Revolution. Long live the memories of the icon of our liberation struggle. Long live the spirit of the father of the Namibian nation. Long live the Republic of Namibia. May the soul, the revolutionary soul of Dr. Sam Shafiishuna Nujoma rest in eternal peace. And I thank you.
The head of state, Dr. Angola Mbumba, giving his tribute to the late founding president and father of the nation, President Sam Nujoma. Kadambira, can you take us through the rest of the program? I think that speech marked effectively the end of the official program, the proceedings and the speeches. What comes next?
It does. We will be hearing or singing the national anthems and the AU anthem, something that was championed by the founding father of the Namibian nation. And thereafter, we'll have an opportunity to come and view the body of our founding president. Wherever you find yourself, please make your way to the stadium. We saw long lines yesterday, Namibians really doing it in a very respectful manner, and making their way to the parliamentary gardens. And today, we have another opportunity once again to bid farewell to our founding father. The president, man of the hour at this point in time, really with a heartfelt message to Namibians, thanking the founding father for the gift of reconciliation, the gift of forgiveness, something 35 years ago we couldn't imagine. We were divided, and seemingly nobody gave us a chance. But we took on this responsibility to unite ourselves, and we have done a stellar job.
In fact, I think that will be one of his greatest, the founding father's greatest legacies, was able to bring together a totally divided nation that was divided firstly along tribal lines, secondly along political and ideological lines, and thirdly along racial lines. And he was able to navigate this minefield. And actually, with the introduction of the policy of national reconciliation, he was able to bring all these opposing forces together under the Namibian flag and under one nation. That was a great achievement.
Some people were saying, look, that policy needs to be written. And it was an unwritten policy, but we found it in our constitution. But it found its way through the Namibia Defense Force that we are seeing right there, where these fighters that were on opposing sides, the liberation struggle, fighters of Plan and the SWAT-TF, found themselves in one army under one flag, fighting for the same country under one commander-in-chief. And that remains a practical demonstration of that policy of national reconciliation.
Absolutely. In fact, talking about being the first commander of the commander-in-chief of an independent Namibia, on his casket there is a military hat and some medals on his casket, which I don't know if we can pan to the casket, which actually are a symbol of him being the commander-in-chief and, of course, all the medals that you received. But what do you think his lasting legacy will be?
I think first and foremost is national reconciliation. But state formation in itself, it's a very complex undertaking. And he had the ability to really, identify talented and gifted sons and daughters of Namibia to rally behind him and with him, work alongside him to form many institutions of our country that still to this day continue to survive They continue to sustain themselves. And then that is really testament to his leadership. I mean, the people that he was surrounded with, he was, as you pointed out, he didn't have university education, except, I mean, we heard when he was 75, he went to the University of Namibia and got the master's in geology. But at that point in time in 1990, he had to put together a cabinet that was responsible for state formation. And that was, I think, a demonstration of his ability to see talent.
Absolutely. There's another thing that he will be remembered for, and that is, and he was always very proud of saying this, and that this is something that we should guard very jealously, that Namibians should guard very jealously, and that was the peace and stability that that reigned in Namibia. I mean, after decades of conflict, whoever thought that this country would one day be a peaceful and a stable country? And he was very proud of that. And since independence, this country has indeed experienced peace and stability, which is something that he was very passionate about, and he guarded jealously.
And it's something that our generation, obviously, and subsequent generations after mine, will continue to be bored because some of us don't appreciate that conflict because we didn't live through it. But for that generation, for the Sem Nujoma generation, for the Hifikepunye Pohamba generation, for the Bena Madila generation, they lived through that conflict, and it's something that you don't want to see your country go through. And other parts of the continent where we see conflict, we see how it turns societies. We see how it regresses societies and their development. And it's something that this particular generation said, look, we want to bequeath freedom. We want to bequeath peace.
Absolutely. And also, he also liked to emphasize unity, and that at all costs, we must be united. And he was very adamant about that, because he used to say that a country, a nation that was united could never ever be torn apart, could never be infiltrated, could never, nothing could come to that nation as long as unity was our byword. You have the quote there. Can you read it to us?
A people united, striving to achieve a common good for all members of society, who always emerge victorious. Let's receive the benediction, shall we?
Yes.
Proceedings. Chikuru wetu Kuku Nujoma and your family. Tate kuru Msimane kwa Comrade President Mbumba, Your Excellencies, I have been sitting the whole day in this tent listening very careful to all the people who gave homage to Mkokori. And I have heard about Pan-Africanism, but I have not heard strong words from Pan-Africanism as they have been inspired by our ancestors. Therefore, by binding a farewell to our first president, Mkokori, I would quickly go around our neighbors and request them to give us some ancestral words from our ancestors in the African cultures. I would like to start with our neighbors. During the colonial period, we were almost become one nation. But God did not allow that. People of Tanzania, give us one word in Kiswahili which will console us, and that word is pole. I would like to ask our friends from South Africa to tell us that our first president, Omkokori, is gone. Is gone. And I would like you to tell us, Mtuzi wethu susi fiyile. I would like to come to you, people of Zimbabwe. Tell us, in the words of our ancestors, that our first president is gone. Mukuru wedu watisire. Yes, I would like to come to you, people of the Republic of Angola. Somewhere in the province of Bié, somebody to tell us in the words of our ancestors by saying, Wasekulu wetu wanda. Yes, I would like.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the memorial of Dr. Sam Shafiishuna Nujoma. And we are very grateful to be able to collaborate with the national broadcaster NBC in making sure that you get that footage. After all, this is a moment of service for the entire Namibian nation. And as media practitioners, we are certainly proud to be working with the NBC. And it's been a day full of emotion, very strong speeches, strong speech from the chief Mona and President of the Republic of Namibia, Dr. Ndangolo Mbumba. I can't get over those words. Sam, where are you? It's a way of communicating in Africa. In a sense, we're saying, we wish you were here. Yeah.
I think that he lived a good life. Yes. It was a life well lived, and it's evident in how people spoke of him and the work that he has done.
Absolutely. So we're going to be returning tomorrow to cover the burial. Do keep in mind the late founding father's body is going to lay in state at Independence Stadium for viewing. Please do, if you haven't gone already, if you weren't at Parliament Gardens yesterday, you still have an opportunity to say your goodbye. But we'll be live again from 7 a.m. tomorrow to take you through the events of this week, and of course culminating with the burial of Namibia's founding father, Dr. Sam Shafiishuna Nujoma. So from Aina Kweyo and Ashwyn Mberi, this has been the final journey of the last founding father, honoring an African pioneer, the one, the very only Sam Shafiishuna Nujoma.